Guys, welcome back to Charles Owen Experience. Kit, welcome to the chat. Yeah, there we go.
Thanks,
Beautiful.
guys.
Thanks, man.
Guys, Kit Dow, Australian OG, task-based games.
The original
After.
task-based games guy that no one hated. Fuck. So weird. So yeah, tell
I
us
think
how
I
you
had
did
my
it,
haters.
Kit. You did a whole task-based games thing, but no one thinks you're a. How does that happen?
How does one do
How does
that?
that happen? That's f***ing weird. Just favors.
Oh,
Also,
honestly,
great
I
shirt.
had-
Also, great shirt,
I
by the
did
way.
have a
Big
lot of
cock
haters.
sausage. Is that big? What does it say?
Big
Oh,
Coles.
big sausage.
Coles,
right.
yeah.
Right. It's fair enough. That is a big
Oh.
sausage, to be fair.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Plays a character. He plays my dad in the movie that we made.
Oh yeah,
Big
saw
Cole.
that little clip there. Lovely.
He's got cool sausages. No, I think no, I definitely had my haters, but it wasn't so bad. I just don't think I really got bored of trying to tell people what to do after a little bit, and I kind of also become a little bit aware that this is just my opinion, and that's all I can deliver to people. So I kind of play it now, like I can tell you what I think, but whatever you want to do, it's cool. Whatever you want to do. I taught a class the other day where they're like, they want to learn a technique, like go ahead, drill it. I don't care. Don't bother me.
Fair enough.
What made you come up with the original concept of like, I don't want to do techniques, I just want to do games?
Like, I'm boredom. I hated the technique side of things. It really bored me.
Me too.
I think having like a big, I just like a massive ADHD. Plus, I lost my lighting. I don't know where the fuck that just died.
Nice.
Get it back on, man.
Darker.
Computer might go. Is it bad lighting? Is it work?
Nah,
It's
Yeah,
all
let me
right.
just turn this.
get it on, man.
It
Get it on.
was shinier
Give me half
before.
Give me half.
I can't believe I spilled that. I'm actually fucking mate. There's nothing.
For those new viewers, look at Owen just spilt his coffee everywhere.
Look how much is left, mate. There's just all in there.
Right, Kit, where did you grow up in Australia, mate? You're a Sydney boy?
No, Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Grew up in Melbourne.
Where did you train in Melbourne to start with?
I was training with Peter Devine. To begin with. Oh fuck me.
There you go.
Peter Devine to
Beautiful.
begin with. I don't know how this fucking thing
Is that a government name or is that a pseudonym?
That's his real name.
The Bean, yeah.
Devine.
The Bean.
I started there. So to answer your question first, I felt like learning techniques were boring. So I would just kind of skip that portion of training. Plus, the thing that I really liked about jiu-jitsu was the problem-solving part. Like, I really like trying to figure things out myself. So even these days, if someone can, nothing, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, nothing f***ing bores me more than when someone comes and tells me or shows me a technique, how to do something. It's just like, I just don't want to listen to it. And I don't mean, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. I'm sure it does. It's just, I like to figure things out myself. And that's like the fun part of jiu-jitsu for me. Like, if I'm rolling with someone and I'm like, okay, this is I'm in some kind of tough area and I'm like, I need to figure this out. That's the fun part for me. And when I don't have that and I don't have like people on that level that stimulate me, that's where I get really bored with jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense. So it wasn't like I discovered this and I was like, oh, this is better. I just noticed that I was progressing way faster than most of the people. And most of the people were doing a lot more work than me. Most people were getting in, training, doing a lot of, doing drills, doing techniques. And I would kind of skip that portion and come into the rolls. And I wasn't even rolling that much. Like, I'd have a roll, I'd have a sit out, have another roll, sit out. But I was thinking about it a lot. And I never thought it was going to be bad. I thought I would literally progress slower than everyone else. Like, it made sense that I was going to be not that great at it. But for some reason, I was picking it up 5 to 6 times faster than most people. And it was later on and I had a friend, Aaron Dempsey, at the time, and he was the one that was doing the homework. I don't have the temperament to do any homework on that. It's like, he was studying it, looking at some of the science behind it, and then it was kind of realizing, oh, fuck, there's actually a good reason why I happen to be progressing much faster and understand jiu-jitsu on a much better level than a lot of people that were just doing the technique side of things. So that's kind of how it started. And then And then I started trying to preach to people and tell people like, it's really good. But then I just got bored of doing that. I don't want to like force anyone to do anything. And it's like, I can tell you what I think. And it's like, if you don't like it and you don't want to do it, cool. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. So I think that's the biggest difference between myself and what most people in the ecological world are doing is because there's still so much ego involved in what they're and how they're feeling. So they take a lot of things personally. Like if someone says ecological training sucks, there's a lot of guys that will take that super personally. If they said it to me, I was like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like
I know
task-based
that.
stuff.
Play the
I'm like,
man,
cool.
not the game.
Exactly.
I'll never argue the point. I'll only mock the person.
Yeah, that's the better way of doing it.
I'm not educated enough to argue the point. As you said, I haven't read any books on it, so who would know? Charles can't read, so he doesn't know. I mean, yeah, it's tough out here.
Fucking take that.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking sorry.
And I'm the same. Like I said, all my stuff is from experience, and this is from most of my life. I've never been a guy that studies stuff and then does it. I've always been a guy that does something and then tries to figure out why what I did was wrong, or why what I did was right. So it's kind of like I'm more like an experimenter rather than a study or a researcher.
You said you don't like people telling you techniques. Would you like it if someone told you like a problem, or like, what'd you do if you do this? Would you give?
Yeah, I like that. That works a lot better for me. So like if someone asks me a question like, Kit, like what do you think of this, or what would you do if this, or it's much better. Like I used to hate when I first started. I hate magazines because they'd always ask you like, oh, can you show your three favorite techniques? I don't even have a favorite technique. It's like saying, show me your three favorite sentences. I'm like, fuck, I don't know. It depends on who I'm talking to and what we're talking about. Yeah. So jiu-jitsu for me is that, like, it's like, it really depends on who I'm rolling with, and that's going to dictate probably the most common things you're going to see popping up.
Yeah, fair enough. So, yeah, play the man. Play the man. There it is.
How long were you doing jiu-jitsu before you started competing and just beating the fuck out of people? And you realized I'm actually pretty decent at this.
I did it for 5 months, and I never had any ambitions to compete. So, and the guys were competing, so I went to a comp and to see what the fuck they even do. And one of the white belts, I just started beating him, and he won the tournament, and I was just like, what? How the fuck did he win? I'm like, well, if he won, technically I would have won. So I did an in-house
MMA
tournament.
mats. Excellent.
Hey?
MMA mats. Excellent.
Exactly. So I went to a tournament like maybe a month later. It was like an in-house tournament, and I won it was like a round robin division for white belt, and I won that quite clearly. I had like 4 submissions, and one fight was like on a lot of points, but I completely outcontrolled him. And then I went to the open belt, and there was two blues or a purple, or 2 purples or a blue, not high level guys. Like I wasn't that great back then, and I submitted them. So there was like a lot of buzz about it, and I was like, oh, actually, I think I'm pretty good at this. And then I went on and did the Victorian Championships at blue belt, and then Abu Dhabi trials at blue belt. Went to Abu Dhabi, won that. Then the next year did the same thing as purple belt, won the Brazilian Nationals at purple belt, won the Abu Dhabi Pro purple belt. The year later, it was brown and black were combined, and I had a really good fight with one guy, and I lost, just lost, but kind of halfway through, I realized I really should have won this. I just wasn't really trying because I never really thought that I should beat this guy because he was a really good black belt and like world-class black belt. And then halfway through the match, I realized I could be winning if I really actually tried in this match. I finished the match, I wasn't even breathing, and he was exhausted. So I was like, okay. And then I think I got silver the next year at brown belts against Sebastian Broche. Probably should have won that match, to be honest with you. And I think Sebastian knows that as well. I fell asleep before the fight, and then I got woken up. He woke me up actually as we're going on, and I had an adrenaline dump in the first 1 minute. My arms were dead. And he actually taught me the benefits. He's actually a really good friend now. The benefits of warming up before a match, and then that changed a lot of my jiu-jitsu. And so yeah, I was progressing pretty quick, and there was like white to black in 4 years. But then I only did like a handful of tournaments at black, and then I got bored and wanted to do something else, and then left jiu-jitsu for a long time. And then I kind of periodically came back in, but it was more just as a hobbyist. And I did like the world championship once or twice after that. I did pretty well. Like I lost, I won 2 fights and lost to Josh Hinger, and he won it. And I think I won that fight. Like I think I really got robbed in that situation. I think the score was even. I went for a fireman carry right at the end, and and took him down, and he just sort of slapped on a guillotine, not his good guillotine, which he would have got me with if he did it. Just he just grabbed my head, but like I had to like defend it, and then they gave him an advantage as well. I was like, fuck, man. Yeah. So, but that was kind of all I really did, and then I didn't really like. I never really pursued it after that, and still kind of haven't. I still train, I love it, but I never really took it super seriously since probably 2014, really.
What does an average training session look like? Like, let's say, like for me, I just go in and spar, and then afterwards, I'll talk a bit of technique with people and stuff like that, or I'll do even some kind of little specifics afterwards with Big Dave if he gets me to the side. But yeah, let's say you go in, would you even bother with any like games, or would you just go straight to sparring at this stage?
No, not me. Like I'm disciplined enough, like in my sparring, to
Yeah.
be able to put it in an area that I know that I need to work. And I'm good enough to force that as well. So the games were never really for me. It was more for other people that don't have the discipline or awareness of where they need to work and stuff. So if I go like a normal session, like to say Lockie's at the moment, I'm at Lockie's. He's got his pro class going on. When I'll turn up there, they'll be like, he'll be going over some technique stuff. I'll usually just kind of play on my phone for a little bit. He'll give him some positional sparring or some games, and I'll kind of slowly immigrate into it, depending on what the game is. If they're doing like escape mount, I'm like, no, fuck that, or something like that. I won't bother doing it. But if they're doing like some guard passing or wrestling or just guard versus passing, I'll jump into that or something fun. If there's something that I feel like is stimulating for me and rewarding, I'll jump in and just use that as a warm up, and then just do the rounds afterwards. Otherwise, I would just do the rounds, or just 99% of my training is just open mats, where I'll just get a bunch of guys together and just go, okay, one after the other, and just try and get some good rounds. And really, depending on who they are and what they're really good at, will dictate where we play. A lot of in America, a lot of what I did was wrestling, because there's a lot of really good Russian and Dagestan wrestlers that come and train with us, compared to jiu-jitsu guys. But now I'm at Lockie's, there's a lot of really good jiu-jitsu guys compared to wrestlers. So I'm doing a lot more. I've been working a lot on guard passing the last month since I've been there, which has been good. A lot of fun, because there's some big boys there, like 100-kilo guys that are really good jiu-jitsu guys. I know you guys had one a year ago, Bilal, that was down there.
Yeah.
And trained with you guys, and now he's like a fucking beast, bro. He's massive, and he's got a real good
God, yeah, K-guard
game. Fun little challenge for me lately.
Yeah.
Who, Bilal?
Yeah, Bilal, yeah.
He's looking big, man.
Yeah, he's looking bigger by the day.
Just got in the program. That's why, man.
That's why the Matt Stronger program.
Exactly.
Benjamin Yag Rodriguez. Yagwe. What else?
I saw you send Josh the other day.
That was it, Josh, yeah.
Picked him up and absolutely sent him.
I enjoy rounds of Josh. What a man.
He's a beast, bro.
He's good with the foot sweeps, isn't he?
Yeah. Really good with the foot sweeps, really good with the collar tie.
Yeah.
He plays a strong collar tie a game. It's kind of hard. Like when I go against him, I have to like approach that very different to what I would normally do. And a lot of stuff I would like to do, I don't do. But like he kind of leaves that high crutch attack open, but he's also so fucking tall. If I don't get it right, I end up like having both of his legs standing straight up, and I'm like, I can't even fucking lift him.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
So I picked him up. Usually I pick him up and drop him that side, but he puts his hands down, and his hands fucking reach the ground. So I thought this time I'm going to turn in midair and drop him the other way. But then like I didn't really realize that when I drop him from that side, he has nothing to slow his fall down. He's fucking landed square on his back. And I was like, oh,
break fall.
Winded the shit.
Yeah,
but he's a tough kid. He's
necessary. Fine. Yeah, and I guess what goes around comes around.
Exactly.
When I sparred with him, I just had to single leg him because he just doesn't level change at all. Like if you level change, he'll just stay high up because he's taller than you, and if you hand fight him, he'll just win the hand fight because he's taller than you. So that's it. Just single leg.
I think it's exhausting hand fighting with him. Because like I'm fucking reaching up trying to hand fight up here.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's collar tie. A lot of time I just have to give him the collar tie and then just roll my head out. And like I said, the legs are there all the time, but there's also that big risk of getting Uchimata or something like that with those tall guys.
Yeah.
I think it's Uchimata. The fucking words,
fair enough.
Good crowd down there at the moment in Melbourne, though, right? For the CGI trials.
Really good.
What's the day on those trials again? Was it coming up in a month or a couple of weeks?
10th of May, I believe.
Say again?
10th of May.
Are you going to
10th of May.
Yeah, you going to do them?
I said to Lockie today, if someone pulls out, I'll jump in.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good shout. I reckon you do pretty well then.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll
That'd be
see.
good. Easy million for you and the team.
So when you're coming up going through, because now you say you just do sparring. Obviously, you just do sparring now as well. Was it just you'd go to class, you wouldn't listen too much to the technique, and just like you said, you'd just be disciplined with trying to practice where you think you need to work on during sparring?
Yeah, I think I would turn up and I would just be on my phone and I wait until they finish the technique portion, or I'd just sit there and just pay it in mind. And then as soon as we got into the positional sparring or the actual roles, I would just jump straight in. And yeah, I would always like, it always bothered me when things would happen to me or if I was having problems with things and I would just think about it and try and figure out my own solutions for it. I was always the one thing I did do a lot was I would reflect on the roles a lot. So like, anytime now if I roll with someone and they get something on me, it's going to bother me until I can come up with at least one solution or at least understand conceptually where I'm making mistakes. Um, and like that for me, like that's the real fun part and the joy of jiu-jitsu is when you're able to solve your own problems. I think I heard someone say a long time ago, like the key to happiness in a man is in his ability to solve problems. And I feel like a lot of that, I relate to a lot of that in jiu-jitsu. So, anytime I'm rolling with someone, if I'm having anything I'm struggling with, I want to figure out, how to solve that. And then come back in and fucking and pride myself on, I always pride myself and every time I roll with someone, it gets easier and easier. And very, very rarely, if ever, I've ever had the opposite where I felt like things were getting worse when I was rolling with someone, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I think it's because I think about it a lot. I try and work people out.
They're working you out more than you're working them out. That's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then you're in
agreed.
trouble. I mean, there's always going to be like, it's always like if you're starting and you're really high level and someone's at the ground, they've got a lot of room for improvement, then sometimes it can, you can feel like, oh, they're doing a little bit better than,
Yeah.
than what they were. But I mean, if you're kind of at even level or if someone's ever been, when they've been better than me, it's like I feel like I'm always sort of like catching them really quick and figuring out their things. And most people I think are really simple, especially the ones that do a lot of drilling. I feel like they're the easiest to work out because they've got so many pre-rehearsed patterns and routines that it's like, okay, once I kind of figure those things out, it's so much easier compared to when I go with someone that's more similar to what I do with their problem solver, then it becomes a little bit more difficult because they're much harder to pin down, if that makes sense. They'll adapt as well. And once I feel like they've done something, they change. And they're kind of my favorite training partners because I feel like I get the most out of those. Where the ones that are very obvious with what they're doing, I kind of feel like, even if they're brilliant with what they're doing, it's like you figure it out very, eventually, and then it's like they're not as fun.
Yeah.
That makes
Robot NPCs, basically, they don't change what they do every round.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hate rolling with them. I actually told one once that he was so boring, I just refused to roll with him anymore. Because he'd shoot a low single and he wouldn't even touch my leg. And then he'd just like be on all fours trying to shoot again and again. And it's just like me just front headlocking him, go to the back every time. It's just boring.
Actually,
It's just so
I hate
boring. I
that.
just tell him, listen, I just can't do it anymore. I'm wasting my time.
I actually really
Stop rolling
despise
with it.
people that pull guard. I really bothers me people that pull guard and then you walk in and they fucking try and dive on your legs and try and double leg you and just like, bro,
Yeah.
what do you fuck? I'm giving you like, I'm coming in, giving you something, give me something, and then they fucking. And I've had a lot of high level guys do that shit as well. I'm just like, bro, this is training. What are you fucking
Or and
doing?
they just time a blast double to the kneecap. Yeah, very good.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very good.
Thanks.
Yeah, nice
Thanks
strategy.
for my
man.
ACL's gone now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, actually, Sylvia injured his knee like that. His kid was playing on some mat nearby, and he was like telling his kid get down, and then someone like low singled him in the kneecap and broke his meniscus.
Jeez.
Yeah, good fun. So,
I hate that when people do that low single and they drive their shoulder and I'm like, oh, fuck off.
yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to snap the
It's
bone.
all well and good if you're watching. If you're like looking somewhere else, it's just another level of retard.
Did you play? What sports did you play growing up as a kid? Because were you athletic going into jiu-jitsu, or were you scrawny? What was the situation? Were you quite strong? Quite strong when you started?
Um, I played a lot of sports. Mostly the two sports I played the most of were Australian rules football
Yeah.
and I played inline hockey, which is like similar to ice hockey but on rollerblades. We just didn't have ice in Australia, so and it's not as rough. But I played that and I got to a good level. Like I was trying out for the States in that. in football, like I started off slow because I was very shy and very nervous and anxious. And I remember playing, I didn't even want to call for the fucking football. I'd be just like, please don't kick the ball to me. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to do something embarrassing. But then after a while, I got my confidence and I played good football. I played at probably the best country team in the country at that stage, which is first division YVM developed. It was called Sylvan. Me and my brother were the only fucking two people from that town. Everyone else we had recruited. We got a lot of money, so recruiting all the ex-AFL players and the top guys and stuff like that. And we won a bunch of grand finals. I played interleague. I played under 18s interleague. I played the Vic East representative side. Then I played senior interleague, and then I got asked to train for I forget who it was, but they were the St Kilda reserves. It's like AFL, like top team, their reserves, and if you do really well on that, you can get put in that. But I was like 20. Level. What the fuck? This thing died again. It was what'd you say? Sorry.
You played to a decent level.
Yeah, I was pretty good at that. I think we're gonna lose this slide.
Are there other countries that play Australian rules football?
Ireland, they play Gaelic, countries? Similar.
Yeah, other countries as well. Yeah, Gaelic football.
No, that's the thing, and that was a big reason why I stopped playing. Sorry, that was a big reason why I stopped playing Aussie rules football because I thought, well, it's an Australian game. Did you lose me? Or was it my lighting changed everything?
It was Charles. Just unfamiliar with the.
Well, this is going to go off in 10 minutes, and then we'll start another one. Because the free Zoom only gives us 40 minutes.
Oh, I should have fucking sent you a link. I've got I pay for the actual.
Okay. We'll do it our way.
We spent all the money we could. No expenses spared, man. Free Zoom. We should get the free Spotify as well.
In 10 minutes, we'll do it again. But
we'll go again.
What was I saying? I was saying about
Aussie rules football.
Aussie rules football, being athletic.
Oh yeah, that's why I chose jiu-jitsu is because I felt like it was something that would take me all around the world rather than just jiu-jitsu, rather than just football being in Australia. And then, so I went on jiu-jitsu and I kind of I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, fuck, I'll just try and become best in the world at this. And then when I got to black belt level, I was just like, what am I doing? Why am I trying to become the best in the world? I don't really care that much about this. And I wanted a new challenge. And that's when I got into acting and started doing that. So I kind of left jiu-jitsu for a little bit, got into acting, went back and played Australian rules football for a little bit, snapped my ACL, went back into acting, and then paid for my ACL to get fixed. Ended up getting back into jiu-jitsu somehow. I went to there was an old student that was used to train under me, and he's like, "Kid, you got to check this out." I go into his shed. This guy was super straight edge, never drank alcohol, nothing, and then suddenly he just fucking got into experiment with a bunch of drugs. I don't even know where this guy is right now. I hope he's all right, but I know he went off the grid for a while.
Yeah.
And he's doing LSD, and he goes, you got to check this. He brings me in his garage, and he's got mats on the ground. He's got all these fucking lasers and smoke machines. So he starts blowing smoke and putting the lasers on. He's like, let's roll. So I was rolling with him, and I was like, fuck, I just we started kissing and shit, and it was great. And I just thought this was really fun. Then I went back to jiu-jitsu, and Lachlan was training with Craig at that time. So I come in, I was like, fuck, these guys are really good. And Lachlan, I train Lachlan all the time, but I was like, Lachlan's improved a lot, and this Craig Jones guy is fucking good. So it was a lot of fun for me. And then, so I did that for a little bit, and then I went and traveled and sort of, got washed up and doing other shit as well again. But that was kind of how I got back into it for a little bit, then went into the film, and I spent fucking years grinding for the filmmaking stuff. And then, I kind of realized that, well, if I want to make it in film, I'm going to have to actually write my own shit and make my own shit because my auditions went down. After COVID, there was a change of climate of what they were looking for actors, and it was not so much straight white males anymore. So I was like, fuck, my auditions went down 10% of what they were.
Yeah, check your privilege, man. Check your privilege.
Yeah, I know, I needed to.
You could play one of the people in Straight Outta Compton or something.
Yeah, actually funny. My writing mentor wrote that movie. Straight Outta Compton. Yeah. Which is fun. I teach him.
You'd make a good Ice Cube, man.
You'd make a Ice Cube. That other fella.
The other fella.
So
Jerry.
I realized
make
the
a good
climate's
Jerry.
changed.
Small Jewish guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a good movie. So I realized I'm not going to fucking ever make it unless I make my own shit. So I started learning how to write. And that's how I met this guy, Sheldon Turner. who's one of the best writers in the world. He wrote that. He wrote Up in the Air, The Longest Yard, a fucking handful of lots of other movies. And he's an Oscar-nominated writer, a Golden Globe winning writer. And he helped me with my writing. I helped him with jiu-jitsu. And then eventually I wrote a movie called White Belt with Becca Buckaloo, my business partner. And within 6 months, we had a movie fucking made and shot. We had 55 cast members, 55 crew members, 68 cast members. And we're really fucking excited with what we have. We're editing it right now. So, and then I told myself once I finished a movie, I'd get back into competing. And that's kind of why I had a recent little jiu-jitsu match, a super fight, and why I might do this if there's a spot available. If someone gets a little sick or food poisoning, or fucking give them a little whoop behind the scenes.
Thing,
yeah, like falls down the stairs or something. Yeah, that'd be awful.
Really weird
Something
bullet hole
falls out a window.
Head.
The Russian style, mate. They fall out of a window. That's what happens every couple of years. Someone
that clumsy Saitsev falling out of a window.
Yeah, that is classic.
Didn't see that window.
Honestly, it happens to a lot of people. It's always the window, and then there's like
always the window.
Always the window. You read the report, and it's like, there didn't seem to be any serious damage from falling from a second-story window. And Anyway.
Looks like a suicide, guys. Gotta write that one down.
Clumsy Saitsev.
It happens. Has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
We killed Saitsev.
Let's get some questions up, man.
Oh yeah, all right. Let's get some fandom questions.
We got some fandom questions for you.
All right. Come on then. Come on. All right. Won't start with that. Have you ever fought Craig Jones?
Yeah. I've never fought him properly. We had a super fight years ago, and me and him were training together all the time. And we just decided we both wanted the money, but we didn't really want to compete. So we're like, hey, let's just make it even. We'll just play around, have fun, and then we'll just make sure the points are even. And we did that, and then fucking Ben Hodgkinson, who was my student, gave Craig the fucking one referee's decision. I was like, what the fuck? So I've got a loss on my record for a match that wasn't even real.
Scammed. Nice, man.
Ben Hodgkinson, he fucked you.
Ben Hodgkinson, man, the long rod.
Yeah. He's at B team full time now, isn't he? No.
Think so.
Yeah.
Guess so, yeah.
He is.
How does someone learn to berimbolo and crab ride with just task-based games?
Start in that position and just fucking try and get the back. Start in that position and just go, okay, what's my goal here? Get to the back, take a sweep, whatever it is. Yeah. I think like the biggest problem with there's two problems really when it comes to, from what I see, with the argument with drilling or task-based games or ecological training. It's like one, the only time you really need to drill something is when you lack understanding and experience in that area. Like, I'm not going to be able to show you, Owen, because I don't have that good a knowledge in the leg lock area. But if I was showing you probably any type of leg lock you haven't seen, you'd probably see it once and go, fuck. All right, yeah, I can do it. You know what I mean? And you can play around with it during training. If you were in a situation where you couldn't do it, it would be more likely that you lack understanding of that area than need to. So the problem isn't the fact that you need to learn technique. The problem is the fact you have a lack of understanding of that area. So a big way to eliminate the need to drill anything is like play in that area and get really good at that area and mess around, problem solve, experiment. And then when you see techniques, it's more like inspiration for ideas that are possible rather than straight alone technique. And when you have a good understanding, you can see things and understand conceptually what's really going on there. Like you see what, I see what he's really doing. He's putting this fucking bend here, which is creating the rotation that I need to, but I don't need to do it like that. I can actually do it like this. I can do it any other way. So that's one thing. The other thing is like the confusing thing that people like, what's the best way to learn jiu-jitsu is by drilling, because the best way to learn a technique is by drilling. And that is correct. The best way to learn a technique is by drilling. But it's not the best way to progress in jiu-jitsu. The best way to progress in jiu-jitsu isn't so much the accumulation of techniques, it's more the acquisition of skill and knowledge, and they're done very separately. So I think that the confusing part most people get it at face value. It's like, well, jiu-jitsu is a bunch of techniques. The best way to learn techniques is by drilling them. The best way to get good at jiu-jitsu is that. Where I say, no, the best way to get good at jiu-jitsu is becoming a very good dynamic problem solver. And to do that, you need to be solving problems, not so much repeating patterns, but playing with different areas until you have a really good understanding and skill set from that. And I don't think there's anyone that shouldn't be able to do that. Anyone that's able to live a reasonable life where they're actually functioning should have the ability to do it. And then it just depends on how much they obsess about it and how much they train.
Doesn't take much to function.
No.
Get on the welfare program, council house. You're basically a retard, but you
can function.
You are functioning. You are eating and staying alive. You shit in a toilet.
I think that's fucking 90% of the jiu-jitsu community you just described too.
Maybe, yeah.
How many of them are fucking working? How many of them are working? You go to a club and it's like...
Actually, yeah, good point. Probably at ours, very few are working, but the people that do work is surely just IT. Just some.
Yeah, I think you get like two different like groups. You get like super rich people doing it, and then people that have no job doing it.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
There's no in between. There's just no in between.
It's just the divide.
There's just taxpayers and people scrounging. Right. The questions are a bit shit, I'm not gonna lie, but anyway, we'll carry on.
Not happy with them.
Here, right.
Right, let's go.
Right, Kit.
Okay.
Someone was just asking. Are we good?
Can you hear us, Kit?
Yeah, I can. I'm just trying to. This fucking thing's loading slow.
So someone was asking your philosophy on playing bottom half guard. I'd like to hear it, man. What's your philosophy on playing bottom half guard?
Philosophy.
I don't even know where I'd begin.
I think if you're short or you're really fat, I think bottom half guard is nice. If you like fucking pummeling underhooks and hugging on her legs with your leg, I think it's nice. I think it's a very boring game.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot more ways to liven up your jiu-jitsu, but it's a strong game. There's not many people that play it so much these days. Like I feel like you're just going to find like a real stubby short guy that's going to gravitate towards that. There's always like one guy at a new gym you go to that just loves it and loves trying to fucking pummel your underhook and just keep knocking you forward and coming underneath your ass. But
whoa, man,
coming underneath the ass, that's a good one though.
That is,
I do like that.
Yeah, I guess it's effective.
What about you?
Me, my philosophy on playing bottom half guard.
Yeah.
I could write a whole book about it, man. When your opponent pushes, you pull, and vice versa. Honestly, I wouldn't say I have a philosophy like that. It seems I don't think about it that much. Bottom half guard is just guard, isn't it, really?
So Owen grilled me on the last podcast, and basically I have this inability to, when I'm sparring, to have any kind of tempo. I just like to get the heart rate up and just use it almost exclusively as an exercise class.
Like the Airdyne bike.
Yeah, which is why my jiu-jitsu is fairly shit and I don't really progress. Would you say for you've just got to, like you said earlier, you've just got to fucking slow things out and like work on specific things that you need to work on.
You're incapable of being disciplined with your training to the point that you practice stuff and you just try to keep a heart rate high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your analysis, Ken?
I think I think this problem is universal, and I don't think it's so much towards like heart rate. I think it's athleticism itself. I think most people.
I'm too athletic. Yeah, you said that well. Yeah.
I think most people try and cover the holes in their jiu-jitsu with athleticism. I'm not saying that's why you do it. It sounds like you're just trying to get a workout. But a lot of people try and, cover the inefficiency of the jiu-jitsu by using athleticism. And I see people all the time, like I want to get and they'll ask me because they think that I do a lot of weights or something, but I'm just like genetically big like this. And they're like, oh, do you do that? And I said, no. I wouldn't even ever do weights for jiu-jitsu. I would do weights to look good. That's it. Or if I had to be in a heavier division or something like that. But I feel like the weights makes me fucking worse. I think the best thing you can do as a jiu-jitsu practitioner is eliminate as much of the athleticism, strength, speed as you can to really force yourself to understand what is efficiency and what isn't. Because a lot of time, especially you're going hard, you're going to think like, oh, I'm getting things done, like, oh, it's working, but you don't realize how much energy you're using compared to somebody else. And one thing I'm always trying to be as cognizant as I can is like, how much energy am I using and how much energy are they using? So I try and slow things down as much as I can and relax as much as I can and just force positions that cook them and energize me, so to speak. So, and I think to do that, you really need to slow things down and really understand that. Otherwise, you're going to blow past so much information. It's like you're trying to speed read a book that you really need to study. So I think that, hey,
Some people
where's
need
Wally?
picture books and they're skim reading Einstein. Yeah.
No, look, I don't read books, so I'm not gonna.
No, I can't
I'm
read.
actually reading one book. I'm actually reading this book right now, and it's a fucking, it's a sci-fi smut book, like a romance smut. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but like
Smut.
it's supposed to. Yeah, it's like real sexualized stuff. I haven't got to
Yeah.
the good stuff, but I'm hoping
Like
to.
Bukowski, but for sci-fi.
What's Bukowski?
Charles Bukowski,
Who's that?
very famous writer.
Sexual writer.
He writes sexually, yeah, as well. More like disgusting sexual stuff. Charles Bukowski, you never heard of him?
Well, go on.
Oh, I've heard of Bukowski, but I usually just see like a fucking a quote of his and stuff. I don't really know much
Yeah,
about his
he's
work.
got some like vulgar quotes, but he's also got books about just like fucking loads of prostitutes and getting in loads of bar fights and stuff like that. Kind of biographical.
Might be. But anyway, back to my point is I think that, yeah, most people would benefit a lot from removing their athleticism, slowing things down, using less energy and becoming more efficient rather than, and then having that athleticism for when you actually really need it, and I feel like the only time you should really need it is when you're competing.
It's a discipline.
But otherwise-
How would you
Sounds of it.
suggest Charles goes about not using his athleticism? Because when he's sparring, I'll be shouting at him to slow down, not do so much. He'll, occasional instruction, but as soon as the heart rate is up, those opinions go out the window. I suggested a shot collar last time, but I don't know, man. I also
You
suggested him
should
rolling
get
with
like a shot
child.
collar that like when it goes over like 150 beats per minute,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you get
Just get fried a little bit.
That would be a good indicator of whether you're using energy or not is your heart rate. So I think a goal would be to like keep your heart rate as low as you can during a roll. Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be a new thing.
When I roll with you, that's usually what you do to me now. You just pin me and I can't really move, and I don't really get much play.
Yeah, I tried to keep his heart rate low by forcing him in stable positions.
I just can't move.
I
and then I'm-
waste the
oh.
training. You're wasting my training. Ah. Just start thinking about traumatic events in your past, and the heart
And
rate
then the
will
heart rate
rise.
elevates. So yeah, it's probably just it's just a discipline factor, isn't it? Well, yeah, having the heart rate.
Spar with a child.
Sparring with, like, let's say if you are a little bit bigger and you want to usually solely rely just on trying to be athletic, it would be worth just going with people who are smaller and just really trying to fucking slow it down. Because as soon as you go with someone who's like either stronger than you or like similar level or like similar-esque, it's just like, let's fucking go, and you just go way too hard, and then I end up just getting
Yeah, I think you either need to be like, you need to be a little bit more, release your ego a little bit and just not really care what happens in training. Like, you got to really remember it's training. Honestly, not anyone that's really fucking good in jiu-jitsu is going to understand the difference between training and competing and not really giving a fuck what happens at training. And I think if you can do that, you're going to be a lot better for it, and just like not even caring. Like, I don't give a fuck. I get submitted all the time in training against people that shouldn't be able to submit me, but I don't really care. I get leg locked all the time, so they get a leg. I'm like, yeah, tap, cool. It doesn't really bother me like anymore. Like, I used to bother me a lot more, but I'm like, I don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks at training. Like, if someone's looking at that and like, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? It's like, who gives a fuck?
Would you just
so
give
I
up
would-
free subs though?
What's
If
that?
you're sparring with someone and you think like, oh, I could probably escape this if I just went a bit harder, would you escape it? Would you just be like, nah, fuck it, I'll just give him the sub?
Nah, fuck that, dude. The last thing I want is someone to sit on my back for fucking 3 minutes trying to choke me and like scruffing my face. I'm like, nah. The mistake I made was getting my back taken. I always try and focus more on the prevention rather than the cure to my problems. So like even with the leg lock stuff, like I'm not great at it. I got a lot of damage with my leg lock with my legs right now, so I can't really risk the idea of risk and play is just not really worth it for me right now. So I would be far more likely to just try and practice on avoiding that kind of situation. If they do catch a leg in something that I'm not really understanding, I'll tap, and like I might ask them was that really on? Was that, were you giving it everything or whatnot? Just to understand it a little better. But I have no problem with tapping to that kind of stuff. And then I'll just try and focus on not letting him have that leg. And the same thing, if someone mounts me or something, like I just don't really care. I feel I would get so much more out of my training working let's say someone passes me and mounts me and submits me. I'll get so much more out of my training on working on not letting them pass me than what I will about escaping their fucking mount or not tapping to their arm lock. So I don't do it in a way where I'm like, here, tap me. I kind of pretend like I'm trying to work my way out and just let them kind of get me, but in a way that hopefully they don't know that I'm letting them, because I think that's disrespectful as well.
That's terrible.
But I am being disrespectful in the sense that I'm not really giving them a proper submission.
You're not letting them properly kill you.
No, fuck that. Fuck that.
Nice.
We have a funny joke where, I looked at my brother. My brother's training now. And I was looking at him, and he was like, someone had his back for 5 minutes and was trying to escape. And Mikhail was laughing. He was like, bro, Kip would have tapped in 10 seconds. I said, 100%. Don't take my back. Get it off of me. There you go. Fucking get your submission. Let's go.
Fair enough. Might be a better way. Just like, you can't lose if you tap quickly. Joke's on you. I'm standing up again. But that's why people just don't tap you. They just cook you, right? They'll just refuse.
Yeah,
like, you can't tap to a non-submission. And if someone catches you doing that, then next time they'll just cook you the entire round and be like, this isn't a sub. You got to stay here and either escape or spaz more. Yeah,
100%.
Some people definitely do that.
Oh yeah. I think for me, I don't know. I don't really, at the moment, I don't really care that much about submissions, and I haven't for a long time. So my game's been more about positional exchanges than submissions. But I think I need to really go back now and start really working some submissions into my game and stuff, because I feel like my positional sparring is fucking 5 times better than my submissions. I'll get a submission on, and if they're fighting and I feel like it's too much, I just sort of let it go and switch to something else, and I'll try and catch them, but rarely will you see me really try and fight for something. I'll kind of just let it go and just catch them in the next transition, but you're obviously going to lose a lot of submissions that way. But like I said, for me, it hurts me more when someone sweeps me or takes me down than what it does if they submit me.
Right.
A lot.
How'd you go with Levi? Did you manage to pass his guard ever? I imagine something like that would be hard to figure out on your own.
Oh, I really want to. He's just come back into training. He's been injured, so I really want to work with. I know he's got a phenomenal fucking guard. I trained with him a little bit when he came to LA, and we did 2 rounds there. I couldn't pass his guard, so I would love to. I would love to get a chance to work on that, especially with Lachlan's mats, because they're a lot more grippier and they favor the guard passer rather than when we were training it. At fucking in LA, it was so fucking slippery. It's like fuck. It's a guard passer.
Guard. You can't even wrestle up when it's that slippery. It's actually terrible.
Yeah, so it was kind of it was not benefiting either one of us. It was way harder for me to pass, but it was also way harder for him to finish anything as well because it was so slippery.
Yeah, because you just can't stand up to actually finish the sweep.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to training with him. He's phenomenal. I think he's unbelievable. It's a really fun challenge for me to try and pass his guard for sure.
Yeah. How would you go about learning to pass his guard? Because a problem like that is almost too hard to figure out on your own. Wouldn't you just be I don't know, asking people what to do?
No, I don't think anything's too hard to figure out. If they can figure out how to do it, you can figure out how to stop them. Yeah. It just takes time. I think it's just addressing everything conceptually, and I think you need to and it's not let them kind of get. I mean, sometimes they're just going to get you, but sometimes you need to let them get you. Anytime I roll with someone for the first time, I usually get beaten. And it's not always because they should beat me, but there's a lot of time it's because I'm letting them kind of do things to try and figure out what are they actually trying to do, what do they like doing, what do they dislike doing, where are they really good. And sometimes they just catch you off guard because you're just like, oh, fuck, this guy's really good with this. I had no idea. I can't let him hang on my leg because he's fucking brilliant with the leg or something. So I just try and I'm really good at pattern recognition. So let's say if I'm going with someone like Levi, for example, and this is not what's happened or anything, but if I was, I would presume that he's going to be making very similar strides towards what he's trying to do, and he's going to be making, there'll be certain patterns and stuff, and I don't mean like as if he's predictable, but there will still be patterns to what he's doing, and I can sort of look at like eventually I'm trying to look at common denominators that I know that if I can remove, will remove a lot of their advances or something like that. Like it might be the fact that, well, if I'm passing and I can stop him from inverting left or right, well, there's a really difficult time he's going to have trying to leg lock me and trying to invert underneath and grab me. So I'll try and focus on maybe nullifying their inversions or something, or maybe just taking away one of their arms while I'm passing. I'm working a lot with like a C cup grip on the armpit and the arm a lot at the moment while passing and leaning on them, and I'm feeling that's making it a lot easier to pass, because even if they get one arm underneath me, without that secondary arm, they're not as strong, and I can use that to capitalize on them overcommitting. And so I'm usually just trying to find like
little
common
bits.
little things that I can play with, and it's like I feel like they have like a mathematic algorithm, and I'm trying to remove certain things to see if it fucks up their whole game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the more of them you can do that, then suddenly you can play with someone. And this happens a lot where I'll go against people that are actually really good, but because I know them so well and I figured them out, I make them look way worse than what I am.
Yeah, you just do the one thing they don't know how to deal with.
Exactly. And it's not that they're not, it's not that there's that much of a difference in the level. It's just like they're calling me before they're doing everything and telling me what they're doing, and I'm fucking just capitalizing on it.
Yeah. What do you think about, like, let's say you're competing and would you say it's more difficult to win if you practice all the time where you kind of feel people out for a full round instead of sometimes just going like, fuck it, I'll try and actually engage and potentially get more tired than them in the round by actually trying to win rather than just seeing what they do? Because I kind of do the same thing where I just chill for the first round with someone, just because most of the time they might be a retard and try to injure me, so I have to be careful of that. But in competition, I think it's actually not as good, because then you spend a lot of the time being passive when maybe you should just be like you said, some of the people that you lost to that you're probably better than, probably just because you weren't attacking them as much.
Yeah, it is it's a problem, because like jiu-jitsu, the way competition's set up in most formats, it's not a really good way to dictate who's a better grappler. It's like playing a tennis match that you finish in the first fucking set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, anyone can make mistakes, and like you look at that. I think it was Roger Federer, or someone was talking about his, he won like 90 something percent of his matches or something like that, but he was losing, or he was only winning it like 58% of the match inside the match.
Wow.
Like, so he was losing so much, but he was just winning, you know what I mean? But still won like the long game all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like jiu-jitsu is kind of like that. And I don't love that, a jiu-jitsu, like let's say me and you, we've never trained before. If we were going to go against each other and we go for 6 minutes, anything can happen in that 6 minutes.
Yeah.
One of us can make one mistake and then lose the whole fucking thing. And it's like, does that mean that I'm better than you or you're better than me? No. If we went for like, let's say we went for an hour or two, we would have a much more accurate depiction on who's better. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, obviously jiu-jitsu can't always be like that, but that's the way it should be. So I think we're kind of stuck in a bad spot where you kind of have to be a little bit more proactive and kind of throw some more inorganic, situations into the mix. And ideally you would just get so fucking good at problem solving that doesn't matter who they are. I kind of feel like that's a bit like Gordon right now, where he's just so good that he can afford to come out very responsive to them and still, slow cook them and beat them. But he's also playing like he's getting matches that are really smart for him and jiu-jitsu, because they're long form matches rather than, very quick matches. So I think. I think the same thing as me. It's a tough kind of like gamble on how you approach that. And I think at the top level, you kind of like, if you compete enough and you're young enough, you're going to see the same guys, over and over again, and get a bit of an understanding. And every time you come against them, you should have a bit more of an advantage if you play the problem-solving route. But it's just going to take a little bit of time, and that's what I would try and explain to a lot of people. It's like, you don't want to do 2 world championships and try and win. You want to do 15 and hopefully win 2 at the end. You know what I mean? Because it's time to figure that kind of stuff out. I still think it's the better way to approach jiu-jitsu, and I think for longevity, it's the better way to approach. But you can see why certain there's certain people that have won big competitions, world championships, that I wouldn't think are the best grappler at all. But they're very athletic, and they've got like their 1 or 2 things that they kind of impose their will with and get away with, and then or they fucking grind out an advantage victory against everybody.
That's the drilling, isn't it? Though they probably just drill they'll drill a guard pull into a move, and then it's just like they're like 2 points up, and then they've got 3 minutes to stall, and they can do it with the referee on their side. So I guess it probably changes how the gyms end up teaching their students and stuff.
And I know like a lot of people are trying to like eliminate that by changing rules all the time. And, I don't think any one organization has got it completely right. It's kind of hard. I kind of like the CJI thing that they're doing. I don't know if I love I've never competed in that circle thing. I don't know if I would love to compete in that, or it'd just be more annoying than anything. But I do like that they they have good, referees sort of judging a lot of stuff. And but certain other ones, they were like, I competed in Subversion, I think it was, and they're like, they're very much about like having exciting fights. They don't really care, like them, they don't care who wins or whatever. They just want fucking scraps and exciting ones. And then you go in some other ones like IBJJF, it's a lot more tactical, and you see people like you said, pulling guard, getting in, pretending to sweep someone enough that they have to react, and then just holding close guard and taking an advantage and winning, the match and stuff. And it's really hard. I think that the rules dictate the type of grappler. But I think if, let's say hypothetically, if in a perfect world every match was an hour long, at least an hour long, then you would get very different people, people training very differently and approaching it very differently, and it would be a lot more accurate to who's the better. And I think if I look at the guys that I think are the 2 best, like Gordon and Hodger, they both kind of played that style where they are very responsive, and they're very like tactical and very slow, and they slow cook them. How many times I think I saw Hodger would be getting beaten at the start, but just slowly come back, because, and it happens to me a lot when I'm training, because I train at like here, and I'm training against people that are here. And it's like, it's hard and hard and hard and hard, and then the energy drops. And then suddenly, so it might be me trying to pass someone for 6 minutes. And I feel like anyone in the world with enough athleticism, that's, at least a black belt, a high-level black belt, with enough athleticism can last 6 minutes with me trying to pass them. But the 7-minute mark, the 8-minute mark, 9 and 10 really changes a lot of stuff. Once that athleticism is gone, and how much time they've spent using inefficient leverage to try and recover or try and keep you away, once that fucking burns out, then it's like, I didn't pass the first 6 minutes, and then I fucking passed 200 times in the fucking last 1 minute because they're just dead. So I kind of like that style.
The more you play guard, if you're on bottom for longer, obviously you just get tired quicker, even if you're better. I mean, not if you're like way better than the other guy, then fine. But if you're kind of similar level and you're playing bottom, you'll get tired like much, much quicker, even if you're potentially winning all the battles. Like you're just pushing upwards and they're basically pushing down, so they're a bit nicer in that sense. So the hour-long matches would be good, but then it would be like some weird kind of endurance thing, and who's got the best muscle endurance. Like Silvio would do well in hour-long matches.
He'd be really good.
Because we have a guy at Silvio, maybe over 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I can do pretty well, but he's just got infinite cardio and muscle endurance, and like I've just never seen him really tired. So, it'd be hard. I don't know. And I don't know that it's necessarily just technique. Obviously, he's technical as well, but also the attributes make such a massive difference here that, it might not be. I don't know.
Well, he doesn't use a lot of energy either. Well, actually, he does.
I mean, he does use strength a lot, but he is able to use it for hours. So the longer matches may not necessarily show you who's better at jiu-jitsu or whatever, or who's even more efficient. It could just be who is like a literal monster and who is just a normal human being.
I think at the highest level, you're going to get, that's where you always get some freaks coming out. Like whenever you get the highest level of sport, there's going to be some genetic freaks who can just literally they just don't
get tired.
They just have their body just uses lactic acid better, or they just have a better aerobic system. And if they combine that with jiu-jitsu and they've made it that far, that's when they'll shine above the rest. Like apparently Gordon's obviously he's juiced up to the teeth, but I was talking to someone who was his trainer. It wasn't Nat, it was someone else, and they're talking about his grip strength is just his grips just don't get tired. And he's saying he can,
Really?
he just doesn't get. He literally just his forearms never gas out, ever.
Fucking big wrists, big ankles. And that's it's something that most people don't really take into mind. I'm really like, anytime I'm rolling with someone, I take almost everything into account: how thick their neck is, how thick their fingers are, how strong their hands are, their wrists. And it's like there's certain things that you can have that give you such an advantage. And one thing I noticed with Gordon is he's got very thick wrists and he's got very thick ankles. And that's really hard to control compared to like most people. If they've got the wrists, it's very easy to control the hands.
Yes.
The thicker they are, the more it's like you're holding some kind of big fucking pole. And same as his ankles. See, I was looking at his heel. Like his heel's like in a straight line. Like it's like a fucking it was like this. I'm like, well, no wonder it's hard to heel hook him. He has no heel. Mine sticks out like this. Like I feel like I'm the easiest person to heel hook on the planet. My feet are really big for my size as well. So I feel like huh?
I'm happy for you, man.
Yeah. So it's for heel hooks it's like horrible. Like I'm like a heel hook person. Green.
Sticking out like a sore thumb.
Sore heel.
Exactly.
Like a sore eel.
You gotta go train.
Yeah, it's time for training. It's time to inject some training.
Kit, what a pleasure. Thank you for coming on, boss.
Thanks, man. Excellent time. We'll send you half the profits, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, do you wanna plug anything?
Where can we
talk
find
about
you, Kit?
the
You selling anything?
Yeah, what are you selling? Go on.
So I have my programs at my task-based games programs and my Art of Mastering Jiu-Jitsu, and they're all at kitdaletraining.com. So you want to check those out. I got a big sale on at the moment, some bundles going on, so check them out. And look out for the movie Wipeout that this is from. It's going to be coming out probably later this year. It's a movie about jiu-jitsu. And it's going to be a lot of fun, good drama. It's got some heart, but it's going to be hella funny. If you like the comedy stuff that I can do that kind of humor, then I think you'll really like this movie.
I like the clip you sent me. It was uncomfortable, but good watching.
Guys, we'll have all those links for you in the bottom, Kip. Thanks for coming on, boss.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.